What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here. Android phones are coming out faster than Reese Witherspoon movies, and it's hard to find the best phone for you. We've got one of the latest flagship models from HTC. This is the One X. It's the international version rocking Tegra 3, meaning there are 4 cores of power underneath here. This phone comes with a lot of hype. Let's go ahead and dig in and see if it lives up to it. This is the international unlocked version, meaning it's rocking Tegra 3 quad-core action beneath the hood. When this comes to US shores under AT&T, it's going to have Qualcomm's dual-core Snapdragon S4. That change in chipset was due to LTE compatibility. Let me go ahead and jump right into what I know you want to know, and what I want to know as soon as I took this guy out of the box. I want to know how fast it was, and I wanted to know how good the battery was going to be. This phone is blistering fast. It's running Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich with HTC Sense 4.0 as well. This is running quad-core Tegra 3 with a 1.5 gigahertz clock speed. There actually is a lower clock speed 5th companion core in there that does a lot of the background processes and some of the light lifting. This is the fastest Android experience I've ever used, and I've pretty much tested almost every Android phone on the market. You look at something like HTC Sense, which is pretty resource and processor heavy, you would never notice it by how buttery smooth it is on the One X. Opening applications is extremely fast. This is a combination certainly of Google's ice cream sandwich code coupled with the raw speeds. But I know what you want to see. I know my audience. You want to know benchmarks. The first benchmark that I ran was Quadrant, and it had a Quadrant score of 4,934. Now, Quadrant's not the most scientific way to score phones. It doesn't take advantage of some of the multi-threading that Tegra 3 has, but it is something that I use throughout all of my phones, so it does keep it consistent. You can see just the raw speed that this phone has. Not to mention, for those of you who like to tweak your phones and deal with some custom ROMs, the raw potential that this phone is going to have. We also ran CF Bench. It gave us scores of 12,947. Now that might not mean that much to you if you're not into benchmarking and tweaking your phone, but what should resonate with you, look at these bars. You can see here on the One X, we got the bars extending all the way across. Everything from the operating system to opening applications is fast and fluid and works as beautifully as you could expect from not only an Android phone, but from probably the Android phone going to hit the market. From a dimension standpoint, 5.2 inches by 2.7 inches by 0.3 inches. Like most phones now, it is primarily just screens. Let's talk about this Gorilla Glass Jobby. It's a super IPS panel with a resolution of 1280 by 800, and it looks about as beautiful as you'd expect. Whites are really true white. There isn't any sort of hue here at all, and the screen is really gorgeous. Pictures look absolutely outstanding, and video looks gorgeous. I've looked at several HD displays, but the Super IPS panel that HTC has put on this One X is really incredible. It certainly rivals any display that Samsung has released on the market, which says a lot. I think Samsung displays are amongst the best on the market. Let me say that having used the Galaxy Nexus and using the soft buttons found on the Galaxy Nexus, I got pretty used to those. But I did find it kind of hard to get used to physical capacitive ice cream sandwich buttons here. Those aren't drawn onto the screen. Those are physical, vibrate when you touch them, capacitive buttons. Just felt a little weird to actually have this new button array after getting used to previous versions of Android. After a day or so, I definitely got used to it. Just something to keep in mind. Sense is very heavy here, but the phone has the horsepower to really back it up. You see Sense from everything here, from applications to how things are arranged, all the way down to widgets. So love it or hate it, it's certainly present here in all of its HTC Sense glory. I'm in the camp though that I really like HTC Sense. I think it's one of the best Android skins on the market. One of the things that I loved about Ice Cream Sandwich is how it handled multitasking. Unlike traditional Ice Cream Sandwich, where you get a vertical array of applications, you can swipe them off to close to the right. We've now got one application at a time here, which is great for seeing a larger picture of what you have open, but you can't see a lot of applications on one screen. It's hard to see what's next to it. You have to keep scrolling. It's extremely smooth, but I wish I could see more on just one screen. Then to close it, you can just swipe off. Folders are here as well, built into the operating system. We'll go ahead and take Quadrant, we'll drag it into Gallery, and then boom, I've got a folder. You want to go ahead and open that up, go ahead and drag stuff right out. We're back to where we started from. This is a wonderful ice cream sandwich experience, but I really enjoyed HTC Sense, and using it on the One X was the best HTC Sense experience that I have had. Battery life. It was really my big question mark that I had with this phone. It's got an 1800 milliamp hour battery, so it's about average, but you got 4 cores under there, actually a 5th core doing its thing. How is it going to work? Talk time, I got 6 hours of talk time. From 100%, actually called the local radio station, and I let it run until the phone shut down on me. I got just a little bit over 6 hours, so let's just call it 6 hours. And watching HD video, I got 3.5 hours of HD video playback. Daily use, pulling emails in, about an hour and a half of phone calls, regular texting, just normal phone usage for me. Taking it off the charger at 8 a.m. and probably around 11:30 when I went to bed. I ranged between about 15 and 20% battery life. That's certainly not the most outstanding battery life of any phone that I've ever tested, but definitely not the worst. I would have liked to have sacrificed a little bit of this weight to had a larger battery, or even a user replaceable battery. Would have made things a little bit easier. You can always carry an extra one. Now, I would wager a bet, and certainly don't quote me on it, that we will see some firmware updates by the time this guy hits the market. And speaking of firmware updates, let me go ahead and show you what this is running. So it's running Android 4.0.3, HTC Sense 4.0. By the time this hits market, that might be a bit different. Hopefully we'll see some improvements in battery life. HTC has been known for build quality, and the One X seems to put all of their build quality skills and reputation they've had in the past into an incredibly beautiful to hold package. Everything from the soft touch back to the buttons on the side make this phone feel of the highest quality. This is the best feeling phone I've seen on the market since the iPhone 4S. I'd even say this has a better feel to it. Definitely something that you're going to want to try and get your hands on. Really appreciate how this feels. On the back, you've got a pretty standard fare now, 8 megapixel sensor. It's autofocus smart LED flash, can shoot 1080p video. On the front, we've got a 1.3 megapixel sensor that can also shoot 720p video. It's average camera. It's about what you'd expect. I would have liked to have seen a flagship phone like this up the megapixels and up the performance. But one thing this does very well is burst mode. So if I go ahead and hold down the camera button, you can hear that it's shooting a ton of pictures. It's not going to replace your DSLR or even your point and shoot, but it is definitely a passable camera. I will say that if you are looking to get an Android phone and you are in a market where you're in Europe and LTE is not going to be an option, or even if you're in the US and LTE is not your cup of tea, this is going to be the phone I would recommend. This is the phone that Android users deserve. This is the phone that Android users have been clamoring for. This is the best end user experience I have ever had on an Android phone, and I can absolutely wholeheartedly recommend it when it comes to market. Now, hopefully I'll be able to say the same things when I get my chance to test AT&T's version with the S4 processor in there, but at least for the unlocked Tegra 3 European version, this is an incredible phone and one you will not regret, and it'll serve you well for 2 years or 3 years or however long your contract is. This phone is always going to be nice and quick. So hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to check us out at technobuffalo.com for all of your HTC One X coverage. We got a lot up there. I am John Rettinger, and I'll see you in the next video.